And that's why that was the last bar mitzvah I was invited to. Anyway, we're rolling. Jeremy Swayman, the people are saying Jeremy Swayman for Vezina. It's the Garden Level Podcast.
This is hockey right here.
Bruins! Whoa! 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 Whoa!
Welcome in our Johnny Busick era, episode number 9 of the Garden Level Podcast here on Rogue Media Network. Kim Stuart, Dan Conlon, bringing it to you every week. Bruins. That's what people are saying, Dan. People are saying Bruins. I don't know if you've heard that.
They've been saying it, yeah. I've heard it a few times. That.
Once or twice. We're saying Bruins.
I've heard Patriots
brewing.
too. I've heard Patriots and Bruins.
If you've been watching that Ken Burns American Revolution documentary, maybe that's it. It's actually pretty sick. You should check it out. Anyway, Bruins up and down, man. Every week we got something new with this Bruins team. It's just like we're kind of yo-yoing back and forth. What we didn't know at this time last week was that the Bruins would become an AHL team by this time. Now, this week, certainly on Black Friday, they put out an AHL roster out there, got shit canned by the Rangers. Nice bounce back against Detroit. They got Detroit again tonight. They're still hanging around, man, second in the Atlantic Division, but Montreal, who's a point behind them, has 3 games in hand, so that might catch up to the Bruins at some point at 15-12 on the season. And honestly, Dan, one of the biggest reasons why they are here, we can talk about Zadorov and Marco Sturm and the kind of new system they've got. But really, you look at it the past week especially, Morgan Geekie and Jeremy Swayman. When David Pastrnak is out, that's your team right there.
Just like we predicted, right?
Just like we all had it, man. That in December, they would be firmly in a playoff spot because of those two guys.
Exactly. That's what I predicted. It was in my head. I just didn't say it. I should have said it.
You had it before everyone.
I know.
I know that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how you can't be excited about what these two have been doing. They are 2 players entering their prime. Yeah. 2 players that we really didn't have in our core. Before the season started, we were just saying, how do we build around McAvoy and Pastrnak? Now it's like, all right, like maybe we could add 2 more players to that core that we didn't have originally. So it's definitely exciting in a season where it's been like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. One podcast, we're in the playoffs. One podcast, we lost 7 straight. So just having consistency with these two, something that Bruins fans should be happy about, looking forward to the future, regardless of how this season turns out, which we still don't know how that's going to happen. What's going to happen the rest of the year?
Idea, man.
And I don't even want to predict it.
Friggin' week to week with this shit, man. We will talk a lot of Jeremy Swayman in this podcast. Talk a lot of Jeremy Swayman. We'll look at, obviously, the schedule ahead a little bit. We'll have some grades for some of the new guys as well. And maybe we'll grade Jonas Corposalo, which won't be very nice. And how about Kiefer Sherwood? Bruins Canucks trade, potentially? I don't love it. Dan does. Actually, I don't know yet. We'll talk about all that stuff coming up on this episode of the Garden Level Podcast. Before we get into Swayman, though, I think one thing we agreed on before this season was the Bruins would be screwed if David Pastrnak was going to miss any kind of time. Charlie McAvoy, too, and we've been realizing that the last couple of weeks, but now we're in it. David Pastrnak is going to miss his 3rd straight game tonight. Lower body injury. God, I love the NHL, man. God, I love it. Non-contact, Dan, from what we saw in that game against the Islanders. This is not great. Not great right now.
No. And that's the one player you can't afford to get hurt. And he's hurt right now. And we saw what kind of happens when Pasta's not playing during that Ranger game. They had a nice bounce back win against the Red Wings. We basically substituted Pasta with Milstat in the lineup, who actually has been playing well. But that's not a trade-off you really want.
Not a fair trade, yeah. Gets a GM fired, yeah.
They did beat the Red Wings without Pasta, but I just don't know how sustainable that is. Especially, maybe you get off a couple wins the way Swayman's been playing. But, I'm a fan of when Pastrnak plays for the Bruins.
Like
I'm not sure about you, but I prefer him playing.
I do like that. Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb. We might be the only two. Felger would disagree.
Heard it here first.
That's for sure. But yeah, we like when the lead, and he's still the leading scorer, by the way. Still the leading scorer on the team. Morgan Geeky's going to score. Talk about Cy Young, man. He's going to score like 50 goals and have 12 assists. Pastrnak, though, like you clearly see how much less threatening this team is, especially on the power play. Like there's just not really that threat.
No, they are. They rely on him to get in the entry zone, like I made fun of a few episodes ago. The drop past the pasta is kind of what our strategy has been for feels like a decade.
Missed the drop past the pasta, man.
I think he's very underrated, and he's never really in the talk of top 3 or even top 5. I think some people have him just cracking the top 10 players in the NHL.
Just crazy.
But the stat where what group is he in? Whether he's the people that have 3 seasons of 100 points in a row, it's like McDavid, Draisaitl,
and that's. I mean, maybe Kucherov or McKinnon, but I think one of them's not in there. I think McKinnon's not in there. I could be wrong.
You look at those.
But we're talking about a very exclusive group, man. Like we're talking about a group where, like, you can't even conceptualize it. Of like, what does a team do? Like, how does a team look when a top 5 forward in the league is out for any amount of time, right? Because like Colorado, obviously Nathan McKinnon's their best player, but they're stacked. Edmonton, if it's not one of the 100-point guys, it's the other one that's playing. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of stacked. Tampa, well-coached team, good players. Like they have a good team anyway. The Bruins are the only ones that have a top 5 forward that doesn't have a very good team. And I guess maybe like at the end of the year, you could be saying that about like San Jose, like if Celebrini has a 100-point season. But really the only thing we have to go off of right now is that the Bruins are the only team that isn't good, isn't like loaded, that can lose a 100-point scorer for a couple of weeks. I mean, it's a couple of games right now, but it didn't look all that great.
And then, like you said, all these teams that have these 100-point scorers have other very talented players who help those players get 100 points. Like
I was going to say, that's how you get to 100 points. Yeah.
Yeah, playing with other good players. You have Kucherov, who played with Stamkos and Point. You have Celebrini, who might get 100. He's playing with Ryan Reeves. So, like, they all have these good players that support them. And I was just rewatching, going through the Johnny Beecher days where, Johnny Beecher's top highlight as a Bruin was his game 1 goal, which I was at when they scored 3 minutes in the game.
You're definitely at that game. Yeah.
It was a good game to go to.
I was at his first career NHL goal, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
I went to a game in Dallas 2 years ago that had 2 Bruins score their first career NHL goal. I thought that was such a cool thing. Johnny Beecher and the other
Mason Lohrei.
Bam, dude. Yes. Let's go.
Yeah. That's a cool game to say you went to. You went to the Johnny Beecher.
That's why I have a Mason Lohrei white Centennial season jersey. Man, talk about what I'm going to fetch for that on eBay in a couple of months.
But yeah, it's I was going through the Johnny Beecher days and all of his highlight, and he I remember on that goal in overtime, on that goal against Toronto in the playoffs, it was definitely a Ryan Reeves, I think turnover or just not getting back, and it was a 2-on-1 goal, which is great. But crazy that he's still in the league. Honestly, he's just like, if a team needs muscle and has a good young player that they need to protect, that's going to keep him
till a job.
He's going to have a job till he's 40. So, yeah, it's a shame. But yeah, he's still in the league.
I just can't believe we started this with David Pastrnak and quickly devolved into Ryan Reeves. Like that's crazy, man. Only we can do that. Johnny Beecher and then Ryan Reeves. And so all that to say, I'm going to put out a hot take here, Dan. Please. Are you sitting down? This is
1 second. Okay, I'm sitting down.
All right, perfect. I don't think it's going to be a good thing for the Bruins if David Pastrnak is out for a while. I'm going to put my balls on the table and say it. Like, I don't think that's a good thing.
I was kind of, I disagree with you on that one. I think Pasta being out, I think that lets us bring up Merkulov, and he's been playing great. Man. I think he's like 5 points away from like being the Province Bruins all-time goal scorer. So I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully, if Pasta's out for a while, we'll just replace that quickly with one of our top goal scorers in the province.
Dude, I don't know if you've ever seen this. The Sports Museum does this thing every year called The Tradition, and they just highlight like 4 or 5 former Boston athletes. It's kind of a show. They do like Q&As with each of them. I would love that for Boston minor league heroes. So Georgi Merkulov, Rusney Castillo,
Tommy Cross,
the former BC captain.
I feel like he had a 15-year career in Providence.
JD Davison, MVP of the G League. That'd be great. Maybe Merloni, Taco, that's a great one, man. DiPietro will be on that list in a couple of years. Like I want to hear from those guys, about just being legends, like the Bull Durhams of their own respective minor leagues. I think that would be great. Georgi Merkulov's kind of headed for that.
Could be good. Could be a good idea. Is there any minor league podcasts? Is that like a market that can be explored? Or
I think we should be highlighting great minor leaguers every week, current and historical. Like Don Cherry, man, great minor league player, just fantastic at the minor leagues. Speaking of that, though, speaking of minor leagues, I've kind of hit a new point with Merkulov and Lysell, Dan.
Yeah.
Why
is that?
Like, because I'm one of those guys, like, I'll bitch about Don Sweeney whenever I can. And all last year, I was saying it like, dude, why are you keeping these guys stashed here? Like, the team stinks. Let's just throw them out there. Let's see what they've got. Obviously, they did do that after the trade deadline. And then they went out and signed more fourth liners. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, just play these guys. See what you have. You're not going to be good anyway. And I still see people under all these tweets. I saw it, anytime we talk about the prospects and James Higgins, people will be like, oh, well, they're just going to stash him in Providence anyway. They're just going to let him rot down there. I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen to a top 10 pick. I might be wrong. But like Lysell and Merkulov, I think we're at the point where clearly those guys are not NHL players. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Bruins sucked last year. They have no real depth this year. And it takes like 15 injuries to get Georgi Merkulov up here. I'm not ready to go that far with Patra yet because he's a little younger than those guys, but Merkulov's like 25. Like, it's over. He's not an NHL player. Stop trying to push that narrative. Lysell's the same thing. I wanted Lysell to succeed too, man. First round pick. Bruins finally kind of went against the grain. They didn't get a big tough guy. They went out and got a skilled skating scorer. And he's just not an NHL player. Like, that's clearly, at some point, we have to give Don Sweeney some modicum of respect of like, all right, at this point, maybe he's just right. Maybe he's just not an NHL player. I think we're all on that same page with Merkulov at this point, but Lysell is still a bit of a divisive figure. Do you think Lysell is an NHL player at this point?
At this point, no. But there's one way to find out about that, and that's by playing him in the NHL.
Good point.
And
he's got to be the next one here. He's got to be with all these guys going down.
We just don't have, I don't know what we're thinking, but when they called up Merkulov or Lysell a few days ago, that was definitely getting some question marks. They moved him to his off wing. So I'm not sure. There must be something going on with Lysell that we don't know about. I know he fell in the draft because I think there were some concerns with his character and effort, and I'm not sure if that's still going on. I remember they took a team picture. What was it, 2-3 days ago?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I wish I had that picture. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
And Lysell was just sitting at the end of the table looking like, like when you tell your kid, like, hey, turn around, we're taking a picture, and you just
like gives right after he's had a tantrum. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it looked like.
He's got like the floppy hair. It's just all around. He's just like turned around with his head on his fist, just barely even smiling like it. And he's sitting alone. He's the only one sitting alone. He's kind of at the end of the table. No one's across from him. That's
But
a tough look.
so you can tell he's not happy being down there, and I think he got benched earlier in the year at Providence. That's obviously not a great sign either. But I would like to see him at least up here for a few games. I mean, basically everyone is getting a chance now. Like we are just bringing up anyone at this point. So I'd like to see him get a few more games. You know, maybe Sweeney's right. These guys aren't NHLers, but also let's not give Sweeney credit because he drafted these guys.
Yes.
So let's not praise him for drafting non-NHLers. But I think he should be up here at some point. And if he plays well, you know, maybe you can boost his stock to trade him to someone for a player that you do like. If you don't like Lysell, bring him up here, have him play well. You know, package him with someone that you think would be helpful for this team if you don't like him and don't think he's a part of this future. So hopefully he gets called up eventually. I thought originally Lysell and Pacha wouldn't be playing until after the trade deadline because we just have so much bottom six players on this team. There's not too much room, but with all the injuries now, it's pretty much up for grabs. You know, maybe he gets called up in the next week or so. He had that highlight goal in NHL. That was pretty nice. So
yeah,
he has those every once in a while. So we'll wait and see. But I think he should at least get a few games up here just to see what it's like this year.
I'm going to talk about a guy who I think needs a few more games, even though it could spell disaster because he's been so good this season. Jeremy Swayman for Vezina, that's on the table. That is on the table. It wasn't even the best start to the season. Like the first couple of weeks, I remember we were talking on this podcast of like, hey, the Bruins are winning and they really haven't gotten like great goaltending yet. He'd been good, but you knew you needed really good goaltending to be in this thing. Since, what do we want to say, the Montreal game, maybe even a little further, last 3 weeks or so, Jeremy Swayman has gone from good to very, very good. Like, Dan, this is one of the best goalies in the league right now.
Yeah, and if you're a Bruins fan, you'd love to see it. Earlier in the year, we said the goaltending was kind of so-so, but our offense was really good. That was what was winning us games. Now our goaltending's been great when Swayman's been in the net, and our offense hasn't been great. You know, we'll get into it a little bit, but Morgan Geeky's scoring 61% of our goals right now. That's not a healthy stat if you're a team. 61% is very high. So right now, Swayman's been playing
8 of their last 13 with Morgan Geeky. That's kind of crazy. Yeah.
That's crazy. But right now, sorry.
Get it together. Pull yourself together.
Right now, Swayman's playing great and our offense hasn't been well. So we're just not clicking at the same time right now. That's kind of why we're at that, you know, we're in the middle of the pack right now. So, but yeah, Swayman's been awesome. Still not sure what those numbers mean, but he's
yeah. So real quick, so this is from Advanced Hockey Stats. They do these trophy trackers throughout the season. Vezina Trophy tracker based on some algorithm of what they've got and what the typical Vezina goalies lead the league in and stuff like that. Right now, Jeremy Swayman's sitting in second behind only Spencer Knight. Man, that could end up being a pretty good trade for Chicago. Seth Jones really wanted out. Worked for Florida. He was great for them in the playoffs. Spencer Knight, though, has been excellent. Spencer Knight, the Panthers love having good backup goalies, and they go somewhere else. Anyway, Jeremy Swayman in second. I don't know what the money thing is off to the side there. For those of you watching on YouTube, I don't really know what that is, but Jeremy Swayman's very much in the conversation here. Like the numbers, you look at all the advanced stats, he is dominating, man. I'll give you one stat that I absolutely love for goalies, and I hated for Swayman last year, love it this year, and that is goal save above expected. First in the NHL. You can't get any higher than first, and he's first by 3 whole goals. So he's making the saves that he's not even expected to make. That's literally what that means. For reference on that, for you're like, okay, 19.4 goal save above expected. Like, what does that mean? For reference, he was negative 12.6 last year. Negative 12. A 31 goal jump is crazy. Last year, he was third worst among actual starting goalies. And by the way, like that was his stat. Like that's what he was so good at. He was 15 plus the 2 years before that. And in that playoffs in 2024, when he was great, like he led the entire playoffs for that, and he was out in the second round. He had a 16-something goal save above expected. So, like, just dominant. That's showing that the team in front of him is not that great. And the under the hood stats show that the Bruins are not that great and probably won't be a playoff team. But Jeremy Swayman is getting them there. Like, that's what we talked about before the season. To some degree, Swayman was going to need to go nuclear for the Bruins to be in the picture. He's going nuclear. We're seeing that right now. His goals above average is second in the NHL. That's kind of like FIP in baseball, which I know is just like, oh, it's one thing I don't understand compared to another thing I don't understand. He's got the best WAR, speaking of baseball, wins above replacement of any goalie in the NHL. And if we're going by the regular stats, .915 save percentage and 2.62 goals against average is pretty damn good. And so he's carrying the Bruins. That's what we care about here on the Garden Level podcast, right? That he could be the reason that they make the playoffs if he continues on like this and has a Vezina caliber season. But we're also Americans. And before we get back into the Vezina talk and how this could get the Bruins to the playoffs, Dan, Connor Hellebuck's hurt. Jake Ottinger, good, solid. Not Jake Ottinger-like yet. Hasn't been great, even though his team's been really good. Is there a chance that Jeremy Swayman is the USA's number one goaltender heading to Milan?
Right now, I'd say he is. Spencer Knight is having a great year, but this is kind of like the first year this is his coming out party right now. And the other goaltender in contention, Hellebuck, currently hurt, and we'll see how long he's out and how he comes back and plays when he's back from that injury. But
I was gonna say if it were right now, Jake Ottinger wouldn't even go. Like, he wouldn't even be in the top three. But if it were right now, Connor Hellebuck wouldn't go. He's literally hurt.
But if the game started tomorrow, and I don't think they will start tomorrow, unfortunately, but
not with that arena.
Unless Swayman would be the starting goaltender. And as a Bruins fan, I think earlier in the year we thought, goaltending and defense, that was going to be our strength. That's what was going to win us games. And goaltending has won us games when Swayman's been in net, and he's been doing it without most of our defensemen. So I think that's just another props to him. McAvoy's been out. Lindholm's been out. They're playing like half their defensemen are AHLers right now. Kind of been a revolving door. He's been hung out to dry a few times, and he's been playing on his head a few games, and he's stole a lot of games. So I'd love to see him continue this year doing what he's doing for the Bruins. That'd be a great, building block to go into next year for. The contract will age very well if he plays like that. I'm not sure.
Playing up to the contract for the first time.
Yeah. So, $8 million.
Looks like an $8.25 million goalie right now.
Yeah, and then the goalie behind him is just Durkin. He's making how much? 13 or 12?
Yeah, 12.
He's making a couple more million than him. So it's a good contract. Sweeney, when Sweeney pays good players, he tends to pay them lower than what they deserve. And then when Sweeney pays bad players, he pays them more than what they deserve. Like their other goaltender, Korpisalo, highest paid backup goaltender in the league right now, maybe. Don't know the stat on that, but I'm just gonna say it for talking
like
purposes.
Full-time goalie or backup, like knew he was gonna be the backup going into the season.
Yeah.
Probably is, man. Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see Swayman playing for the US if he's playing what it's like now. And with the Bruins though, it's I'm curious what you think. Swayman's best year was when he was splitting with Ullmark. They basically split it, 41-41. Now, he played a lot of games last year. He played 60 or so last year and had a terrible year. It's like, do you try to get him to a 60 again and see if he plays well, or do you try to fit him in his comfort zone and try to keep it around maybe 50 or so?
That's the important question here. I think this is where it becomes fascinating, because if the Bruins, no matter what their under the hood stats are, no matter what their 5-on-5 stats are, like if they're in a playoff position in March, like how often are you playing this guy? It looked like last year, doesn't look like a guy who can play 60 games. I think he played 58. And you said it, like he led the league in goals against. It was bad. It was brutal. And he's only ever been a tandem goalie. And the problem is your backup, we'll talk about in a second, is horrible. So you can't just afford to punt every other game and hope that this team with, Fraser Mitten and Murat Husnudinov and Tanner Jeannot are going to score 5 goals every other game. It becomes a really, really interesting kind of discussion on how you use this guy. But right now, you're getting the best out of this. And I think it's fascinating to kind of take it into perspective, Dan, of how good Jeremy Swayman's been. By advanced hockey stats, he leads the league in goals saved above expected. In the advanced stats, he leads by 7 goals above expected. And I wanted to bring this up while we're talking a little USA as well, because you look at the bottom, the bottom 5 here. This is going to shock you. The bottom 5 in goals saved above expected, according to advanced hockey stats, starting from the 5th worst. Dustin Wolf, who almost stole the Calder last year, almost got the Flames in the playoffs all by himself. Future Hall of Famer Sergei Bobrovsky is worse. Big time move in the offseason. Johnny Gibson is then worst. And the second worst goalie in the league in goals saved above expected, according to advanced hockey stats, Vezina Trophy winning goaltender, Linus Ullmark, minus 10.6. And the worst in the league, potentially Canada's number 1 Stanley Cup winning goaltender, Jordan Binnington, sitting there in last. You look at the negatives here, and you have the 2 guys who I thought would be have the best chance to be Canada's number 1, Jordan Binnington, and not too far behind at negative 4.2, which is actually 7 goals behind, is Sam Montembeault. Logan Thompson is second in the league, according to advanced hockey stats. So he probably is Canada's number 1 when we go into Milano Cortina for the Olympics.
If Jordan Binnington played his career at TD Garden, he would be a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, dude. Hall of Famer. Like him and Thomas Vanek. If they just played there every game, absolute first ballot, no doubt Hall of Famers. Both of those guys. It's actually, and Bo Bichette playing at Fenway, I think is the same thing. So let me ask you this before we get into Jonas Korpisalo. Does Jeremy Swayman need to be, let's say, a top 5 Vezina candidate, a top 5 goalie in the league for the Bruins to make the playoffs with this team?
I think he does, because you're getting nothing from your other goaltender right now. And you're injured. You need him to be playing like this, because picture how many more games we would have lost if Swayman was playing like Swayman from last year. Like, we would probably be down another, 4 or 5 wins.
McAvoy might have been shut down for the season if that happened.
Yeah.
Just shut him down.
So I think goaltending, like you said, Swayman and Geeky have been the top 2 players so far right now. And I think if Swayman, kind of comes back to earth a little bit, that's going to be a bad sight for the Bruins, because it's one thing to have 1 bad goaltender. If you have 2 bad goaltenders, then you're looking at Gavin McKenna, which is honestly not a bad thing. I'll take him if no one wants him. But we need Swayman to be playing to this level the rest of the year if we even want to sniff the playoffs. But if you're a Bruins fan like myself, I'm not sure if I want to go to the playoffs this year. I'd rather do a little rebuild, retool, and get ready for next year.
Dan Conlon, root for the Bruins to lose. I just want everybody who listens to this podcast to know that. I just want you to know that. I won't go that far until they're out of a playoff spot. Then I'm like, shit, just tank it. Just tank it, man. Just tank it. And if you do want to tank, if the Bruins look at the under the hood numbers and say this isn't good enough and we want to tank, then it's a pretty simple solution. Give more starts to Jonas Korpisalo. As good as Jeremy Swayman's been as the starter, Jonas Korpisalo has been that friggin' bad as the backup. Who could have seen that coming? He's been one of the worst goalies in the league the last 3 seasons. Wow. Who could have saw that coming, that he might suck? 20. So we went all the goals above expected for Swayman. Korpisalo is 20 expected goals worse than Swayman. 20. It's the biggest margin in the league between starter and backup and goal save above expected. Like when you need a save, Jeremy Swayman has to be out there. If you need a save, Jonas Korpisalo probably isn't going to give it to you. And if you're going off like real goals, he's a goal worse per game than Jeremy Swayman is. But maybe, Dan, maybe the stat of the season. It's an early contender for stat of the season. Jonas Korpisalo has given up a goal on the first 3 shots of the game, 7 of his 10 starts this season. Think about that, bro. 70% of the time you put him out there, you're going to be behind in the first 5 minutes. Like it's crazy bad.
It's exactly how you don't want to start a game, and you kind of the way he's been playing. I think all players know it when you're playing. Your confidence in your goaltender and how he's been playing recently, and just always playing from behind to start the game is just sucks everything out of you. And you got to play from behind. And the Bruins have battled. One thing I do give them is in the third periods they haven't really rolled over at all. They just kind of against the Rangers they had 2 goals to make it 4-2. They tied it up. I think it was against the Senators, or they were down 3-1, tied up, but still lost.
Yeah,
so they're not rolling over. Like one thing I do when Korpisalo gives up big leads, at least they still fight for it, and that's one thing I've noticed. Try and take a positive from a Korpisalo game, but yeah, it's crazy, and I'm not sure what the trade talks were like when Sweeney was like, "Yeah, we'll give you this Vezina award-winning goalie." I'm not sure if the Senators offered Korpisalo to them, or if Sweeney thought goalie coach Bob was just going to fix him. And Bob was like, "There's nothing to fix here."
And I know we'll get into part of this in a second here, but you did have 2 pretty good goalies at the AHL level. You know what I mean? Like at that point, why don't you just say, "Hey, we'll try one out, and if it doesn't work, we'll trade for a backup." We'll do some kind of Spencer Knight kind of deal, Vitek Vanacek kind of deal, and just or Jonas Korpisalo kind of deal, and just bring someone in. Instead, they took the $3 million cap hit and just said, "Yeah, maybe we'll figure this out." Just didn't do it. He sucks.
And there's term on that deal
enough
too.
of those. Yeah, he's still got another year after this, and he makes enough of those like saves. Like he'll make a couple of crazy saves in a game that the casual fans like, man, they're just letting him down. They're just letting Korpisalo down. And I'm like, no, he's actually ass. And that's a comfortable save for Jeremy Swayman. It's like what people used to argue about with Tim Thomas, except Tim Thomas was really fucking good. But like he's just like flopping around and he makes one of these octopus saves in a game, and you're like, okay, great. Like Jeremy Swayman makes that comfortably and takes the face off. And instead, it makes Korpisalo look great.
It does. And we have these 2 good goaltenders in Providence right now. We had 2 goaltenders last year. One of them left. We just let him walk. We literally drove him to the airport and be like, "Get out of here." And he's now 6-1 with Carolina. So Brandon Bussey, he's doing he's bussing right now. 6-1 for the Hurricanes. He's probably going to beat us in TD Garden at some point this year if they play us again. Yeah. That would just against Korpisalo. That'd be icing on the cake. But
hell yeah,
he's having a great year, and this is what happens when you play some of the young guys. Props to the Hurricanes for seeing a good AHL goalie and be like, "Hey, let's give him a shot. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We're only paying him $925,000 this year on a 1-year contract." But the Carolina Hurricanes took a risk that Don Sweeney didn't want to take, and it's paying off for them. And right now we still have Korpisalo, and we still have 2 good goaltenders in Providence now. They're the best tandem in the AHL. It's a big reason why the Providence Bruins are a wagon right now.
Absolute wagon.
And we are stuck with Korpisalo in his $3 million contract. So we had ways to have a backup goaltender this year. We chose the worst way to do it by taking on a $3 million contract in a Linus Ullmark trade. So
yeah, so the way I think about with this Bussey thing is like, on one hand, it's tough to blame them, but on the other hand, it is actually easy to blame them, and I'll say why. So Bussey was the backup last year to DiPietro. DiPietro had like a legendary season. Like he almost won the AHL MVP. just because of how good he was in net for Providence. And so you think, okay, they'll give DiPietro a shot. And they kind of did in preseason, but you already had a backup goaltender that was demanding a $3 million cap hit. Like, what are you going to do? You can't, no one wants him. You can't trade for him, or you can't trade him. But Bussy has like a good game in the AHL playoffs against Charlotte, which is Florida's AHL team. And Florida signed him after the season, after he was released by the Bruins. And then they put him on waivers like a week before the season, and Carolina picks him up. And like, that's kind of what good teams do. Like they make the second goalie thing happen. After, and you look at the Bruins, like they were the same thing. Like after the Tim Thomas Tuukka Rask tandem, it was Chad Johnson. Remember? It was Ocho Cinco.
Was he like 10-0?
Yeah, he had like this absurd run because the team was good and he was playing, every third game. It was him. It was Anton Hudobin a couple of times. It was Yarrow Halak. Like, you just kind of put it together for guys way on the cheap. And instead the Bruins were like, hey, and again, this is why I don't give them the benefit of the doubt, because at the time of the Ullmark trade, you had DiPietro and Bussy. Like they were both playing preseason games for you. And instead of just being like, screw it, just like one of them will work out as a backup goalie with goalie Bob, right? Instead, they're just like, you know what we need? Jonas Korpisalo. We need a $3 million. Who again, not benefit of the doubt, because he was like the worst goalie in the league the year before they got him. Like he sucked. Ottawa signed him to this contract and let him go after a year. And no one was like, maybe he just sucks. He hasn't really been good at any point in his NHL career. And now Bussy's doing this for nothing, for pennies on the dollar, and the Bruins are stuck with Korpisalo. And if you did have a guy like Bussy, you probably feel better about your playoff chances. But anyway, Providence Bruins are a wagon.
You want to hear a name?
I do want to hear a name.
I feel like we're talking about, who should be our next backup goaltender, and I haven't heard anyone mention Malcolm Subban yet.
Dude, first round pick.
Former first round pick. He's available, and no one's talking about it.
That's huge, man. When was the last time Malcolm Subban played? Do you have that in front of you?
I don't have that in front of me. I think he played in like a beer league game in Ottawa. Like
he's actually the guy. He's actually the guy in that video of the beer league rink in like Saskatchewan. You know what I mean? Where the stairs come down from the locker room. I think he's the guy. I think he's the goalie in that. It's only 31. Only 31. Yeah. When was the last time? Malcolm Jamal Justin Subban. That's a name right there, man.
He'll probably take a good contract too.
He played in one game for the Columbus Blue Jackets in 2023-2024.
Okay, so
gave up only 3 goals on 35 shots, man. So his last year in the NHL, he had a .914 save percentage.
It's better than Korpisalo.
It's better than Korpisalo. It's way better than Korpisalo. In fact, the year before, where he only played in 4 games, he had an .871 save percentage, which I think is also better than Jonas Korpisalo this year. Let's see. Is it? Oh, no, but it's pretty close. .875 is Korpisalo's save percentage this year.
In the same range. He's in the Korpisalo range.
He has not been above a .900 save percentage since 2022-2023. That spans across 3 teams that he doesn't have a .900 save percentage for. And the Bruins are like, man, we just got to take that cap hit. We have to.
Sweeney definitely thought he's like, goalie coach Bob's going to fix him like I know it. And he just wanted to have like another great goaltending duo. He's going to try to replace Ullmark with Corpy, and did not work out. And we're paying for it now.
In his 11 years in the NHL, he has been under .900 save percentage 7 freaking times, man. Like he's not good. He's really never been good. He had a decent season 3 years ago. And that was it. He was 28. Like, he'd been in the league forever. I think he was a high draft pick because he's been in the league third round. He's been in the league since he was 21. And he's just never been good. That Ullmark trade sucks, even though Ullmark is apparently worse than Korpisalo, according to some of these advanced metrics. Like, it still sucks because of your shit asset management. And it doesn't help that your first round pick that you got out of it had 3 points in 36 games at the NCAA last year, but having a heck of a year this year for BC, Dean Letourneau. Yeah, so I think the moral of this whole podcast, if you get nothing else from this, is this. Jeremy Swayman, good. Jonas Korpisalo, bad. Not good. Not a very good goaltender. And you got another year of it, folks. I don't think anyone's taking him on at some point. That's the crazy thing. Like, he can't even give you like a 2-week stretch where he's got like a 920 and some team is so desperate, that's in a playoff spot and their backup just got hurt, is out for the year. Like, I don't even think he can give you a 2-week stretch like that. I don't think he can. I think you're much more likely to get a good player, a good goalie from a bad team than you would to get Jonas Korpisalo, a bad goalie on a decent team.
But he also doesn't want to be here too. If we want to add that to that, he in the offseason was unhappy with how he was used last year. Subtly maybe requested a trade. I'm not sure if that was official or not, but I'd like to add that he might not even want to be here.
So did Don Sweeney, by the way. Don Sweeney also requested a trade for Jonas Korpisalo. I just don't think it's going to work. And I do remember that. That was so, like, what do you expect, man? Like, you're rolling out with an 875 and you're like, I'm just not being used enough here. That's the problem. I'm just not getting in a rhythm. Brother, you suck. You know why you don't get in a rhythm? Because you give up a goal in the first 3 shots of the game every friggin' time you go out there. No shit, you don't get in a rhythm. Sick of this guy. I never thought I'd care so much about a backup goalie until you're in this exact situation where your starter could lift you to the playoffs. It's a stretch, but he could be good enough to get you there. And if you had a tandem, this team would be, you know what this team would be if they had a tandem? They'd be 23-24. They'd just be that team.
Yep.
Like, you're probably getting a career year out of Morgan Geekie. Probably. The same way that you did out of Charlie Coyle and Trent Frederick and Danton Heinen. All of those guys had career years.
Speaking of 23-24, Avalanche are on pace to break that record. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's 22-23, but yeah. Dude, the Avs are a wagon. The Avs are an absolute wagon. Still, as we sit here on December 2nd, their only regulation loss this year to the Boston Bruins. Back on October 25th, man. It's been a month and a half since they've lost a game in regulation, and it's the only one all year. And so they are on pace to break the Bruins record of for points in a season, wins in a season, the 22-23 Bruins set. I think it was 135 points. It's crazy. And then 65 wins. I wish I had forgotten that. That was an unbelievable regular season. Unbelievable. Like, it was so much fun. The vibes were so incredibly high. I wish we were doing a podcast back then. But as a Bruins fan, knowing how that ended, do you, Dan Conlon, do you think, are you like, man, I hope the Avs just break this record?
Oh, big time. I think it would just make it feel a little better. Instead of saying the best regular season team in NHL history lost in the first round, we'd be able to say the second best regular season team lost in the first round. And I think that would go a long way. I feel like we would kind of just forget about that. It would help everyone else forget about that team a little bit, as I'm trying to do it too. But I always see these flashbacks now that we missed the playoffs last year and could miss it this year. I always see these podcasts or highlights of that season and everyone reminiscing how good we had it during that time with the goalie hugs. And I remember, was it Taylor Hall and Felina went on that podcast talking about that season, and we messed that one up. So yeah,
just saying, like, there's no way you can have a better chance than that. Like, there's just no way. It was so good. They're on pace to finish with 138 points. And Sports Illustrated says, which would obliterate the Bruins record-setting 2023 campaign. It would beat it by 3 points. A win and a loser point. I don't think that's obliterating it, but hey, I'm here for it if they break it. I'm so here for it.
Please.
And by the way, the last team to do it didn't have to wait that long. The team that had that record, or the wins record before the Bruins, was the 18-19 Lightning. And they got swept in the first round, remember, by Columbus. And they only had to wait 4 years for the Bruins to break it. This will only be 3 seasons. Yes, please, God, break it. And you know, the Lightning got so lucky, too, when their record was broken, that then the team that did it also lost in the first round. Is it too much to ask? Is it too much to ask that maybe the Avs just lose in the first round as well, so that like people aren't even going to remember the Lightning thing? They're not going to remember it. Like that was the biggest embarrassment ever. They set the wins record that got swept by a team that had never won a playoff series. The only thing more embarrassing would be to have the next team do it, and that's exactly what happened. So, as a Bruins fan, man, I am so here for the Avs to break this record, and they could, dude. Like they're stacked. They don't have the goaltending the Bruins had, but clearly that has not mattered.
And if they lost in the first round, that'd make things better. But unfortunately, the only team they lose to is the Boston Bruins, and they will not be playing them in the first round. So they may make a run. As long as they don't see the Bruins, they'll be fine.
You know, everyone's talking about changing the playoff structure to what it used to be, 1 through 8. Why don't we just do the 1 through 16? Whole NHL, West Conference, Eastern Conference, who gives a shit? Make it Campbell and Wales. And then
called the round of Sweet 16.
And then the Bruins would have a shot to face the Avalanche in the first round, which would be
that's ideal.
Hilarious, man. Just hilarious. They lead the Avs, unsurprisingly, lead the league in Jesus, it just went away. Goals scored, goals allowed, and goal differential. Nathan McKinnon, front runner for the Hart Trophy, tied for the league in goals, lead the league in points and plus minus. And I mean, just look at this roster. Has to remind you that 2022-23 Bruins. Like we're talking McKinnon, Cale Makar, Natchez, Lehkonen, Taves. Scott Wedgwood's having actually a really good year for the Avs in goal. I said it wasn't as good as Olmark because that was insane, but he's having a damn good year. I think it's at 209 goals against. Like this Avs team is a friggin' wagon, dude. An absolute wagon. Is there any other team that you would say like has a legit shot to win the cup, or are we just taking the Avs against the whole field here?
Honestly, I'm gonna wait to see. Right now, it's Avs against the whole field, but I'm curious to see. I don't think has he been ruled out? Has Barkov been ruled out for the year yet? I know they've been trying to get him back by like maybe April.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm never gonna count out that Panthers team. So if Barkov is out, then I would say yeah. But if Barkov comes back and Kachuk is healthy again, we've seen them go to the Stanley Cup 3 years in a row. They've won 2 of them.
Oh my God!
We know more than anyone how good they are. So I'll never rule out the Panthers if they're fully healthy.
How about this, by the way? One last thing on the Avs. So this was from an article from a week ago. According to Tankathon, the Avalanche have the 3rd easiest schedule in the league over the last 59 games of the season. This was the tough part of their schedule. The Bruins were the tough part of their schedule. That's fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable, man.
Hey, they have an easy schedule.
They might lose one game all year.
Just like the Patriots. They have an easy schedule.
Yeah. They're killing the schedule, man.
Schedule merchants.
And what's funny is I think that 76 or 77 Canadiens team that had the points record before, I think lost 8 games all season, including the playoffs. Is that right? And I think 4 of them were to the Bruins, or 3 of them were to the Bruins. And now here we go. Like maybe this is repeating itself, and this might be their only regulation loss of the entire season. If anyone could do it, I think it's this Avs team. I'm here for it. Please, Colorado, if you're hearing us, break the damn record. Please break the record. Someone else needs to have it. Like literally since Montreal, there's been 3 teams that have had the wins and or points record since then. None of them have won the Stanley Cup. So please, I don't even mind the Avs. I don't give a shit if they win the cup or not. But please, someone else break that record. I'm begging you.
Please.
The Bruins are begging you. We gave you the Ray Bork thing. Here's the return. Okay? We gave you Ray Bork. All right?
We gave you Charlie Coyle.
Gave you Charlie Coyle. Just gave him to you. Will Zellers isn't even on the preliminary roster for the World Juniors, man. We got nothing in return. We took Casey Middlestat off your hands. Please just do us a favor and break this record. I think that'd be really nice of you. Casey Middlestat, though, big part of this Bruins season. Big part. One of the newcomers, kind of. He came in at the trade deadline, so not one of the guys who came in, before this season, which is whom I want to look at, Dan. We're in December. We're not quite at the midway point yet. We're getting close. Mm-hmm. But I think it's time to kind of take stock of where the Bruins are at right now. Real
performance reviews, yeah.
Yeah, lightning round performance reviews for the 4 guys who are in the regular lineup who came in here before the season. Let's start with Tanner Jeannot. How are you grading Tanner Jeannot so far?
We doing letter grades or are we doing out of 100?
Do a letter grade.
Grade.
Why not?
Tanner Jeannot. I think he's played pretty well. He got a lot of hate for that contract, but if you want to feel better as a Bruins fan about that contract, look at Trent Frederick's contract. Mm-hmm. I saw a tweet saying, with how they're playing this year, I think Sam Bennett and Tanner Jeannot are playing pretty similar point production wise. Yeah. And Sam Bennett's making $8 million a year. So Jeannot still a pretty hefty contract, but he's on pace for around 30 points. That third line's been our best line this year, as some people are saying that. Don't shoot the messenger. But I'm going to give him a solid B. He's had some good fights, some good hits, a lot of RNG. He's putting up some points. So it's not as bad as the contract. He's not playing as bad as I thought he would be after scoring like 13 points last year.
Yeah, he's already got 10. So I think he's on pace to smash his last 2 years. He had 27 combined the last 2 years. He's probably going to get that this year. Yeah, I'll go B-. He just hasn't done a lot. He's only on pace for about 150 hits, which he has 200 hits a year when he plays a full season. So that's kind of the thing I wanted the most from him. He's playing the PK for really the first time in his career. He's been solid. Victor Arvidsson.
He's been injured. Didn't start off the year right. Played well before the injury. If you can get more goals out of him and trade him at the deadline for a pick or a prospect, that's ideal. I'll give him a C right now. He's just been injured, and his goal he hasn't really been, producing as to what I thought he'd be. But he was playing well before the injury, and hopefully he plays better and we get a trade out of him. But right now, I'm going to give him a C.
I'll go C+ because I have a ton of recency bias. He was playing well before the injury there, and I think he can give you some depth on the power play. I mean, I think he only has one power play goal this year, but I think he can give you that when he's kind of going well. And that's about it. Fraser Minten.
Yeah, great trade deadline acquisition. Going to be a lot of Toronto Maple Leafs fans are trying to downplay how he's playing this year. He's not lighting up the score sheet, and I don't think he'll ever be. I think a lot of people are debating, is he going to make it? Is he a second center or is he a third center? If you could get a third center out of that trade, you would love it. So I think that's his floor right now, is a third center, and his ceiling could be a 2 center if he could do more offensively. But yeah, he's been the anchor to that line that's been playing very well. If I had to give him a letter grade, I would like to see more point production out of him. He's had a lot of great opportunities. I feel like he always has a good opportunity every game that just doesn't find the back of the net. So I gave Tanner Jeannot a B. If I want to give him the same grade, I'll give him a B+. He's a young kid, 21, playing well in his first year in the system. Just been very consistent.
I'm going to agree with you here, B+. I almost went A-. Look, none of us are saying he's going to win the Calder, right? We're not saying that. But for his role that he's embraced with this team, he's been very solid. And, I know the points aren't really there, but when you watch these Bruins games every night, you just can't help but be impressed, or else you don't know what's going on. He's He's been an impressive player, especially on the defensive side where we knew that's kind of where his strength is. I think there can still be an offensive game there. The kid's 21 years old, man, 21. So I'm a big Fraser Minten guy. I'm here for it. B+, sure. Sean Corrali, second time around.
Played better the first time with us. Let's start with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really questionable.
He needs a game 7. He needs a game 7 right here.
Yep. He really questionable signing. One of the signs where it's like, we already have enough bottom 6 guys. Why are we signing another one? He's the reason, like, earlier in the year, like, he's the reason why Marat was being benched. Like, Marat could easily been the center on the fourth line if Corrali wasn't here. You really don't notice him playing at all. So I'm just going to give him an E.
An I, incomplete, like just not even there. Yeah, I
don't want to give him an F, so I'm just giving the one before it.
Yeah, I'm not a Sean Corrali guy. Good player for you the first time around when he was on, pennies basically, and not like he's getting paid a ton right now, but you signed him to a 2-year deal, and I'm like, why? Apparently, he's getting faster, in his 30s. I don't really see it. He's been bang okay. I was actually at the one game that he scored a goal with an actual goalie in the net, and it was a nice shot against Ottawa a month ago. But Sean Corrali does not do anything for me. I'd have to go a D- or something. He's perfectly reasonable, I guess, but he does not elevate your team in any way. And fourth liners can do that, by the way. They can. We've seen it before. We've got one last thing to get to here, Dan, because I don't know how relevant it's going to be next week. So we got to get to it now. Okay.
Good.
The Bruins in a playoff spot. And we still got a couple months before the trade deadline. And this could go a lot of different ways. They could be tanking by then. But there's been a hot rumor recently. The Vancouver Canucks are fire sailing this thing. All right. They're the worst team in the league outside of Calgary, I think. They've been back and forth for who the worst teams are in the league. And they're looking to get rid of some players. Kiefer Sherwood having a really good year. Going for the Cy Young for the Vancouver Canucks. Apparently, there's been talks between the Bruins and Vancouver for Kiefer Sherwood. Before we get into what that costs, just your thoughts on the player.
He's having a great year this year. Before this, I think his career high was around 40 points. So I think the Canucks are just trying to maximize his value and get whatever they can with him. They are doing pretty bad, and I'm pretty sure they're having a fire sale for everyone besides Quinn Hughes, but I'm not sure if that's actually true because I feel like Quinn Hughes' days are numbered over there. Yeah. I think Sherwood's a good player. I think he's a good addition to a team that's contending, but it's going to cost you a first-round pick, and I don't think we need him. It's not something we need right now. We're not at the top of the league where we could just trade for a Tyler Bertuzzi or Dmitry Orlov. That was a few years ago. So, he's having a great year this year. He would make a good addition to a team that's contending, but that's not the Boston Bruins. They should not be calling Vancouver about that.
Yeah, so that's the thing that kind of turns me off more than anything is the apparent asking price is a first-round pick, which is fucking crazy, actually, like insane. So Kiefer Sherwood leads the team in goals. He's got going for the Cy Young, 12 goals, 4 assists, 16 points in 26 games. He is 30 years old. Okay, he's on his 4th organization and going for number 5. You said it. Never scored more than 40 points in a season. Never scored 20 goals in a season. And doesn't play full seasons. I don't know if it's because of injury or if he's bouncing up and down between the minors and the show because he's not very good. And I think it would be insane, completely asinine if someone gave up a first-round pick for this guy. Again, like even a team that's desperate for goal scoring, who is going to like that? If he was going to play for a Dallas or a Colorado, he'd be on their 4th line, and that would be a nice little addition. Right? A guy who can get double digits of goals on the 4th line. You don't give up first-round picks for that. Granted, the only one who might would be Don Sweeney, but I don't even think in this case that he'd be giving up a first-round pick for him. So for me, Kiefer Sherwood's a big ass no. In fact, is there like who? So the Canucks said pretty much anybody. Who on the Canucks would you actually want to go and get?
Would you want to bring back DeBrusque if it was on the low?
Eat a ton of that, man. He's making as much money as Elias Lindholm, I think.
I
No,
think
I'm
it was
good.
that high.
I'm good, by the way. I'm good. Is it? Let's see. I'll look up his contract when we're talking about this. Yeah, I'm good.
I think it was. I think it
12
was around
points.
I think it was between 5 and 6. I mean, obviously we know what DeBrusque does. If they want to give up Quinn Hughes,
5.5. You're right. 5.5. Same as Morgan Geekie.
Yeah, same as Morgan Geekie. If they could eat some of that, but I believe that's, he's still got a lot of term on that. I'm not. And is he going to come back after those Game 7 rumors? There's some Game 7 rumors going around about DeBrusque. I'm not sure if he would
heard that on a podcast.
Come back to Boston after that, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm in seller mode this year. I think this is encouraging news for Bruins fans who, if you want to trade, Andrew Peak or Arvidsson or Middlestat, if Sherwood's going for a first, yeah, he's having a great year, but he literally has no, his resume is very bad prior to this year. So I think this is just goes to show this is going to be a seller's market. There's a lot of teams still in the mix. The standings are so close where, when the deadline comes around, you're going to have a lot of teams who are, 5 points out of the playoffs who may want to make a trade for it. So I think this is an encouraging sign for the Bruins. If Sherwood's going for a first and, a prospect, that they could be selling off some pieces to this deadline if the right trades come about.
Connor Garland is another name that was mentioned. He's in the last year of his contract. It's like, I think $6 million a year, cap hit of 4.95. And he's in the last year of it. He scored 20 goals one time in his career. Don't love that. Exactly 20 in 23-24. He will also be turning 30. Any interest there? Situate native?
I'm not interested. I honestly,
Dan
I think
Conlon not interested.
It's I'd love to, if you want to trade for someone, just trade for someone that I would just say go for it. I would love to go for a big name. The Bruins never do that, but I'm thinking non-Canucks. I'm thinking.
You're going to look at one of the other 30 teams. Damn.
There's other teams out there actually. I'm thinking like Robertson or Kyrou. Like that would be someone 30 goal scorers, young. You guys, Kyrou is already under term. Gotta sign Robertson, but if you could add another 30 goal scorer, a young guy, to your top 6 with Hagen's coming up next year too, hopefully, that would get me excited. Just trading for like Garland and then sign him to like another, 5-year, $6-7 million contract.
No.
That doesn't.
No way.
That doesn't get me out of bed. So I would love, Sweeney just is allergic to cap space. Like
hates having it. Hates having it.
Cap space.
Yeah.
So hopefully he learns from his mistakes and, not doing it. No move is better than a bad move. And hopefully he sticks by that this year. Maybe he tries that out. But I'd rather think a little more big, not give up any of your first round picks. But if Toronto starts playing well and that pick turns into a playoff spot, that's going to be in the 20s. Who knows what that? You also have the Florida pick next year. So I don't mind dangling some of those picks. Don't dangle your picks if it could get you, a 30 goal scorer who's young and could be a part of your top 6 for the long term. Don't take another flyer on a Sherwood or a Garland.
Yeah, I think they're more likely to go for Nick Robertson, unfortunately. But Jason, man, if you're going to take him and extend him, that's a $11 million a year player, I think. And look, he's played like it. So I'll give you a couple Canucks. I would hear out. Tom Willander, rookie right shot defenseman. You certainly need some of those. Played at BU. Good player at BU. He's not getting much of a run for one of the worst teams in the league, but he is a rookie. 13.43 time on ice this year. No goals, 6 assists. Pettersson, God, I love Pettersson, man. I'm glad he's having a bounce back year. That's just such a huge contract. I'll give you another defenseman for Vancouver that I'm looking at.
Derek Forbort?
Close. Not quite as good.
Kevin
Quinn
Bieksa?
Hughes. Quinn Hughes. Who says no?
Jack's brother?
Yeah. Luke's brother. tied for the team leading points. Another guy I thought of, but he's just, I think would be really nice if it were the trade deadline and the Bruins were going to make the playoffs, be one of those last teams in. I think this guy could be a nice help if the team is eating some of his contract, but he's also objectively having a fucking horrible year. Stamkos. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, if you're a month from the playoffs and you know the guy can step it up a little bit in the playoffs, right? And he can be, honestly, he could be like a fourth line guy for you. And that would be a hell of a scenario for the Bruins and could play the power play. Because I think you keep that third line as your matchup.
What's his contract?
Oh God, let's see, man. He signed it before last season. So
like, was it a multi-year or?
I want to say it was like a 4-year deal. 4-year, $32 million, baby. $8 million through the end of the 27-28 season. God, what a mess that freaking team is. And there's really no one else from Nashville. Like Eric Halla, bring him back.
The Predators just went for it 2 years ago, and they just signed every washed-up veteran who's looking to make one more big contract. They signed Marchessault, they signed Stamkos, they signed Brady Shea.
Yeah.
They just went for it. They drafted Brady Martin.
Yeah, baby. Thank God they did.
Your guy. So
love it.
They're being very mismanaged right now. That's another top 5 pick on the way for them this year. So yeah, maybe they get McKenna. But if they could unload that Stamkos contract, that'd be a huge win for them.
Yeah, that's a tough ask, man. That's a
maybe
really
Tampa.
Tough
maybe Tampa misses him. Maybe that's the move.
Storybook.
Can you picture Stamkos in the Lightning jersey?
That'd be almost too tough to picture. Almost too tough. You know what else is tough to picture, Dan?
What's that?
We're at the end of the episode. That sucks.
Tough.
That sucks. But you know what? I have this on pretty good authority from 2 sources. Guard Level Pod's going to be back next week. Next Tuesday. So guys, help us out. If you're watching on YouTube, like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We're still growing this thing. Episode 9. Still growing this thing. We need some help. We need the people of Bruins Nation, wherever that may be. That's Dan Conlon. I'm Cam Stewart. We'll see you next Tuesday on another edition of the Garden Level Pod.